Hey, what is up guys? JP Land here and welcome back to another video. Today we're back here at Universal Studios Hollywood to take a look at all of the updates, so let's get rolling. I'm going to start off this video by saying I really enjoyed Fast X. I know those are some words you'd never expect coming out of my mouth, but it's true. I watched it twice, second time being yesterday, and I just discovered a way of actually enjoying this movie. And what I recommend doing before watching this movie is just go in with an empty mind, expect nothing. Just go in knowing that this movie is fictional and none of the things in this movie is possible, and you'll actually enjoy this movie. It was a really, really fun movie, but very over exaggerated. But I think they did a really good job. The cinematography is incredible, but I enjoyed it a lot more than Fast 9. Starting off today's update, we start over in CityWalk Hollywood, and we actually have some new cars in front of the Universal Cinema to promote the new Transformers Rise of the Beast movie, which comes out soon. It's super cool. They had Bumblebee and Optimus Prime out. And what I noticed is that after the first 3 Transformer movies, they kept changing the look of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. And I think Bumblebee switched cars a few times. I think in the Bumblebee movie, he was a VW Bug. Now looking down at the former Starbucks location, they are resuming work with construction. They actually recently used this Starbucks location to film a movie. I'm not sure which movie, but they basically decorated the entire exterior as a big wax museum. As of right now, it looks like they're just starting some work on the floor. Looks like they're pouring in some new concrete, and then they'll put some new tiles above that. But looking closer into the Blaze Pizza side of that little building, they have some rebar laid out on the floor. So yeah, they're definitely going to fill up some concrete and put some new tiles. As expected, they removed the doors on the entrances, and I think they're going to just combine both of these stores together to create one big store. Either that, or I hope they can put more Universal-centered attractions. It'd be really cool if they bring escape rooms to CityWalk. That's something we've always wanted. Now, moving forward, it was a very busy day in CityWalk, and it's because there are a ton of students coming into Universal Studios Hollywood for the Grad Bash event. But there were so many kids. It was so busy inside of the park. And when they have Grad Bash and basically nighttime events, they set up these little pop-up booths selling merchandise themed to each event you're at. Obviously, they had a bunch of pop-up booths with Grad Bash merchandise. Now, as I was approaching the middle of the park, I heard some screaming and some roller coaster noises. So I'm like, huh. So I rushed down to the escalators and I noticed they're testing audio once again for the new roller coaster that's going to be built inside of the park. And at this point, I feel like it's just confirmed. We are getting a roller coaster. They're testing sounds of a roller coaster. That means they're heavily considering a roller coaster. There are so many signs pointing to this being a roller coaster that it's just impossible to say that there isn't a roller coaster coming to the park. So yeah, take a listen. I took a few shots of the roller coaster sounds testing on the escalator. It sounds really cool, and in person it's pretty loud, and it's so realistic. I don't know, but check it out for yourself. Also, right across Production Central, which is weirdly open once again, not sure what's going on there, they're doing some groundwork in one of the planters, and it seems like they're going to be moving the studio directory sign, or the wait time sign, to the opposite side, which actually made something click in my mind. If they're going to wall off Production Central, and if they're going to tear down everything in that little corner, the studio directory is a part of that corner. So Production Central is probably going to be open until mid-June, until they finish that new studio directory sign, and then they'll put up some walls, and then they'll close Production Central. I think I'm pretty smart. All right, now taking a look on top of the special effects building, because we do have some construction work. They're building a little round canopy. I have no idea what they're building up here. I would say it's coaster related, but they're going to be demolishing the building anyways, so what's going on? Now, looking back at the concept art, there's nothing that looks like this. In fact, the station isn't even located here. It's actually more towards the middle of the park. So I have no idea what they're doing up here. We're just going to have to play the waiting game until they reveal what's going on. Also, looking at the special effects show from this angle, you guys could see that they are starting to remove the tarp that sits behind the building. And I feel like the special effects show is going to be a lot harder to take down compared to animal actors. As we look at animal actors, a lot has come down. They've ripped apart the foundation. They've taken down some gates and some railings and some stairs, so they're working very fast on this. If you look at the canopy, it's actually kind of coming down now, so it seems like that'll be gone very soon. Because these two buildings have been around for such a long time, I feel like the process is going to take a while. They of course first started by removing all the theming elements and everything they could remove without a permit. So like speakers, lighting, anything in the show booths. And now that they've received the demo permits, they can finally start destroying everything. So we'll see what happens here. The only thing that's a little difficult is that when it rains, it delays construction by a lot. And right now they're working on the side of a hill. So you could imagine that they're probably going to have to wait until the mud is dry, until it's safe to start construction once again. So I really hope it doesn't rain anytime soon, so that way this construction process can move by smoothly. Once they have the new foundation poured in and whatever that needs to be supported is supported, they can work through basically any type of weather. As long as it doesn't involve pouring in concrete, they're basically set. Now I walked into Transformers Supply Vault today and I noticed that they removed a lot of Transformers merchandise inside of the shop. And they also brought a ton of regular merchandise into the shop. When I worked at Universal, I've worked at many different retail locations, Transformers Supply Vault being one of them. And that was always one of the lower performing gift shops. I think on days that the park wasn't that busy, the goal would be to hit at least $2,000 to $3,000, and on busier days it would be like $5,000. Comparing that to a store like the Universal Studios store, the goal would be like $20,000 in a day. So I think they brought in some regular merchandise into that store for that store to generate some more money. Either that, or I know this might be a little weird to say, but I think they might be changing the theme of this gift shop entirely. Yesterday was the 11th anniversary of the Transformers ride. So it's clear that it's been around for a long time. There's been big rumors of Donkey Kong Kingdom making its way to Universal Studios Hollywood as a Super Nintendo World expansion. And basically every park that is receiving Super Nintendo World will have Donkey Kong Kingdom. And I feel like Universal Studios Hollywood wouldn't want to be the odd one out. So it's very possible that they remove Transformers the ride and put Donkey Kong Kingdom in that location. It would make sense, and maybe these are some early signs of that happening. Now, speaking of Super Nintendo World, I actually had the opportunity of walking into the land during this visit because they didn't have reservations up. They had it earlier in the day, but they removed it around 2 or 3 o'clock. After this recent trip to Super Nintendo World, it just seems like the quality has gone downhill. There were animatronics that were not working. There's been some severe weather damage on the paint and the floors. It's just so darn crowded, and I feel like this whole land is everyone's main complaint about the theme park. It's always too crowded. It's basically an upsell attraction. A lot of people always have a hard time getting into the land, and it shouldn't be called Super Nintendo World if everything in Super Nintendo World is Mario Bros themed. There are so many properties by Nintendo, but none of them are acknowledged at all. The only thing that we have that acknowledges other Nintendo properties are the little Pikmin that are hidden throughout Super Mario Land. So the only way to make Super Nintendo World enjoyable is by creating another attraction, and Donkey Kong Kingdom would be perfect for that. First of all, it'll be a second actual ride, and second of all, it'll add more boss battles and more games for you to use your power-up band for. And third of all, it'll make the land so much bigger that reservations are basically unnecessary. As long as the Donkey Kong roller coaster can eat up crowds, Super Nintendo World will be in the place that we want it to be. It'll actually be enjoyable. And those are my closing thoughts on Super Nintendo World. Alright, now moving on to Halloween Horror Nights construction, which we actually don't have much that has changed within the last 3 days. There's a few smaller changes though, and one big change. Now let's start off with the smaller changes. Looking at this maze over here, they actually brought out some theming elements outside of the maze. Now this is a very rocky pattern, and they have a bunch of patches of these, and I'm assuming they're currently installing them as we speak inside of the maze. And on the facade of this maze, and on the facade we actually have a few smaller changes as well. They actually just added some smaller squares. These could be windows, but I don't think this is going to be a house facade. And once time passes by, I'll keep you updated on this facade. But it seems like it's going to remain like this for maybe a month or two. I honestly have no idea what's going on here, but I thought I would film it just in case it might be Horror Night related. While filming this, the only thing I could think about is that this could potentially be another pathway to walk down to another soundstage maze. I feel like that's pretty likely. It looks like they're tearing up the ground here. There's some exposed dirt, so anything's possible really. And looking at the facade of this maze over here, I have no idea what's going on. This is the first time I've ever seen a facade like this where all corners are blocked off, but it's very interesting. I'm very excited to see their construction process as they move forward with this maze. Do you guys have any ideas on what this could be? I just am clueless. I'm trying to figure it out, but I don't know any movie that has anything like this. Another thing that's possible, and I don't think it's ever been done before, is that the very first facade you see while walking into the maze is the first scene of the maze. So they might have like a scare actor walking around or saying some weird narration outside of the maze, but this is the outside of the maze, even though it's the first scene. Anything's possible, and I'd love to see them do something different. And for the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park, they brought out a ton of merchandise. They brought out t-shirts, this amazing Spirit jersey, which I didn't buy, but I'm definitely gonna buy it. They brought out jean jackets, awesome signs, new tumblers. And in the Universe store in CityWalk, they also have a ton of new designs, which I didn't really like. I'm not a fan of those Universe designs for Jurassic Park. I thought they would do a lot better considering the other merchandise they've brought into the store. The only 30th anniversary merchandise that I actually liked, at least from the Universe store, is this film cell tote bag of Jurassic Park. I think that's the coolest item they have in there. But everything else didn't really stand out to me. And that'll wrap up today's video here at Universal Studios Hollywood. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like. I'm JP, and how they say in the movies, that is a wrap. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.